This Sunday, the Rams carry the weight of their city when they face the Eagles. Then it's a clash of MVP caliber quarterbacks, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. SportsGrid has you covered all day, starting at 8 a.m. with FST for daily fantasy lineups. Lock in your picks with Pro Football Today and stay dialed in with real-time betting on in-game live game day, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. Monday, Ohio State looks to overcome the luck of the Irish as Notre Dame eyes the trophy.
I can't even contain myself.
SportsGrid has you covered for the national championship. Start with Coast to Coast at 3 p.m., followed by game time decisions for last-minute picks. And stick around for in-game live all night for real-time betting action. Stay tuned to SportsGrid, your home for championship coverage.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome in. This is FST. It's Fantasy Sports Today. My name is Matt Stryker. His name is Joe Pisapia. TD Jake and Cool Hand Luke behind the glass on the ones and twos, bringing you everything you need. Folks, there are two huge games today, and we are going to dissect every single possible way to profit from those games. Really quickly, at SportsGrid TV, those are our social media handles. Just double check that you're following along, because we have the author of the Fantasy Black Book, as we do each and every week, Joe Pisapia here, and he's going to give you so much information. Anything you miss will live at SportsGrid and at SportsGrid TV. Joey P., my friend, you are just absolutely in love with rookie wide receivers. Tell us why.
Well, look, we're going to be talking a lot about the rookies coming in to the NFL and in weeks ahead here on the program, but before we do that, I want to look back at some of the rookies coming into this year and what our expectations were. And I don't think a lot of us had very high expectations of Brian Thomas Jr. Only my colleague Andrew Erickson at Fantasy Pros, who is the biggest Brian Thomas Jr. fan, was out there saying this is the guy that's going to lead all wide receivers of rookies in yards. And my goodness, he was right. An incredible season for him. And he did it with Trevor Lawrence and then with Mac Jones for the remainder of the season. After Trevor Lawrence went down, I think a lot of us were panicking, but looking back on the season that was for him, it was incredible. He finished as wide receiver 4, 133 targets he received. He caught 87 of them, 10 touchdowns, 1,282 yards for Brian Thomas. It was an incredible debut for him. I think he did not get enough publicity because when you play on the same team as Malik Nabers was getting all the attention, right? And it's kind of funny to think, like, so LSU, let me get this straight, had Jaden Daniels, Malik Nabers, and they had Brian Thomas Jr. And where were they for the national championship last year? I didn't see LSU fighting for that. So where the heck were they? What's going on with Chip Kelly there? Somebody needs to evaluate what's going on there. Clearly they can recruit. I don't know about, winning football games. But anyway, Brian Thomas, now the question will be, a new coach comes in, new systems comes in. What does that look like? I think maybe that would put some panic in some people, but not in me, because if you can go from Trevor Lawrence to Mac Jones and still put up video game numbers, I think we should feel pretty good about Brian Thomas Jr. I do believe he is going to be probably a guy going somewhere between the 10th overall pick and probably early second round. Although after this season, I don't know why you wouldn't think that he's capable of being a first round pick. So we're going to start looking ahead to with the early ranks in the weeks ahead for fantasy. We're going to talk about some of the, first, second round, what that might look like, do some mock drafts early on, because it's never too early to start that process and get a sense of it. Plus, in those dynasty leagues, too, Brian Thomas was a revelation because he was far cheaper than Neighbors or Marvin Harrison Jr. He was somebody you can get in the second round, maybe even the third round, some rookie drafts. And Brian Thomas Jr. just absolutely delivered the goods.
All right, this next rookie wide receiver missed some time, but the target to reception ratio is really what jumps out. Which rookie wide receiver was wide receiver 8 this year?
It was Malik Neighbors, and another guy who did not play in the best quarterback situation, yet still 8. You do make a great point, though. 170 targets, caught 109 of them, but that's a big gap. So what's in between? Uncatchable balls, which is also, I believe, the team name of our producer Luke's fantasy team. I'm pretty sure uncatchable balls. 1204 for the receiving yards. Wide receiver 8 might also be that. Touchdown 7 here for Malik Neighbors, and you have to imagine things can only possibly get better for Malik Neighbors after you played with Daniel Jones, Tommy DeVito, and Drew Lock. Can't get worse than that, right? So hopefully things do get better for Malik Neighbors. Now, Malik Neighbors, I think, is a guy that we could see go in the first half of that first round, too. I do think he will go over Brian Thomas in drafts, despite the fact Brian Thomas did outpace him in just about every category. So can you defy the logic of that or somehow wrap your mind around it? I don't know, folks, but maybe it's a New York bias. Maybe it's a talent thing. Malik Neighbors is a special talent. Maybe people aren't buying into the Jaguars guy being that, but let me tell you something. Brian Thomas Jr. in any sort of salary cap league that you're playing in, if you can get him cheaper than Malik Neighbors, you take him, and I think you're going to get similar productivity in 2025.
Who's the ideal quarterback for Neighbors in 2025?
That's a great question. It's got to be somebody a little bit more, I would think, stable here. And you're going to laugh, but I think somebody like a Sam Darnold might actually be the way the Giants need to go because they're not in a spot to trade up in the draft. I don't think a quarterback's going to be there for them. I don't think a Ewers or somebody like that is going to be the answer to this project. So they're going to try to go after somebody that makes sense. Now, can you woo Sam Darnold back to New York after all the negative things that happened to him there with the Jets? Maybe. Different organization, same building, but we'll see. I wouldn't rule out a Kirk Cousins either because coach and GM there are hanging on by a thread. Maybe you get another year removed from Kirk Cousins from that injury and you get a better situation for him. But I don't know. It is going to be a tricky spot here. I still think if the Jets were smart, they would go after Justin Fields and reunite him with Garrett Wilson with a good head coach. And all of a sudden you can turn the Jets around pretty quick too. But the Giants quarterback situation is really one to monitor. I don't know what the answer is or where this organization wants to go.
All right, let's go to what we do know. Wide receiver 11, a rookie out in Los Angeles. Who was it and how did he achieve that?
Ladd McConkey, our favorite value on that wide receiver rookie board. And my goodness, was he that. Wide receiver 11, 112 targets, 82 catches, 7 touchdowns, 1149 on the receiving yards, and set that rookie record too with over 190 receiving yards last week in a loss, unfortunately. But Ladd McConkey is great. Ladd McConkey could be a 100-catch guy next year. This was just the taste of how good Ladd McConkey could be. Now, health was an issue for him in college at times. He did miss a little bit of time his rookie season, so hopefully health is not something that lingers in terms of issues in 2025 for him in his NFL career. But you can't go in thinking that. You've got to be looking at him as a really steady 1A wide receiver on your fantasy team. And he already finished as a wide receiver 1 last year, so it could be wheels up, could be a top 10 finish for him in 2025.
Joe, I recall what seems like many moons ago, us sitting here before the season started, and we looked at the Rookie of the Year odds. And I think Marvin Harrison was the chalk, and then it was Caleb Williams, and then at the bottom there was Jaden Daniels. And you circled Jaden Daniels. What happened to Marvin Harrison Jr. this year? He's still wide receiver 26, but he didn't have the season that everyone thought he would have.
No, what happened was quarterback and coordinator just not being on the right page here with this wide receiver. It was so odd because when you draft a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr., this is a guy who's an elite route runner, a guy who did the entire tree at Ohio State. And if you look at the routes that he ran in the NFL this year, a lot of go routes, a lot of simple stuff. I just think the usage of him was poor. And I think a good coordinator would go in there and recognize right away that we're not utilizing this guy in the right fashion. And it was a disappointing end. He was wide receiver 26, and I, for one, was drafting him like he was going to be a wide receiver 1, and he finished as a wide receiver 3. And that is appalling with that talent that he's got. Just 62 catches on 116 targets. Look at the difference of targets, too. 116. Malik Neighbors at 170. Kyler Murray said, it's not my job to get Marvin Harrison the football. I disagree, respectfully, Kyler. I think it is your job to get Marvin Harrison Jr. the football. So very frustrating. 8 touchdowns, so that saved it a little bit. 885, under 1,000 yards. I'm hoping for a breakout in year 2, but something's got to give there a little bit with the coaching staff and with Kyler Murray, because right now that is also a fit that just seems odd to me. And Marvin Harrison Jr., again, I know he put up the same numbers as his dad basically in his rookie season, but I would be buying back in. I'm not ready to get rid of him yet.
All right. Now, finally, imagine being a rookie with world-class speed, and you find yourself on the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, they had one. I do believe he wears number 1 on his jersey. Joe, talk to us.
I think this is exactly what you signed up for Worthy. We thought maybe he could finish as a wide receiver 3, be a flex guy with some boomer bust, and that's exactly what he had. If you looked at the projections going into the year and you told me, yeah, he's going to catch 60 balls for 600 yards and 6 touchdowns, I'd say, yeah, that sounds about right. Now, I probably would have thought that Rashee Rice was getting most of that work done, or there would be some other guys in this offense that were having better years. But I think that also hurt Xavier Worthy, because all those injuries around him, I think, kind of pushed more focus on him as a rookie. And I don't think he was quite ready for that. You know, they like to get the ball in his hands. They do the jet sweeps. They do lots of fun, clever stuff with Xavier Worthy. He is still probably going to be a wide receiver 3 next year too, but it would be good to have more support around him for his development. More rookie recaps when we come back right after this.
This Sunday, the Rams carry the weight of their city when they face the Eagles. Then it's a clash of MVP caliber quarterbacks, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. SportsGrid has you covered all day, starting at 8 a.m. with FST for daily fantasy lineups. Lock in your picks with Pro Football Today and stay dialed in with real-time betting on in-game live game day, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. Monday, Ohio State looks to overcome the luck of the Irish as Notre Dame eyes the trophy.
It's like I can't even contain myself.
SportsGrid has you covered for the national championship. Start with Coast to Coast at 3 p.m., followed by game time decisions for last-minute picks. And stick around for in-game live all night for real-time betting action. Stay tuned to SportsGrid, your home for championship coverage.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports Today. Matt Stryker and Joe Pisapia. Yes, that Joe Pisapia, the author of the Fantasy Black Book. And as I understand it, the Fantasy Black Book for baseball is currently available. So do yourself a favor in the next commercial break. Check that out. Joe, we talked rookie wide receivers, so let's talk rookie quarterbacks. Let's start with the obvious, the kid in Washington. Boy, oh boy, just playing like he's been there, playing like a vet, ranked as QB5. Talk to us about Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, and I think there's an MVP in his future in the NFL, and it might be as soon as next year. I mean, that's how good this kid is, and he's doing it without a whole lot around him. Terry McLaurin's a really good player, but we got Austin Eckler at the end of his career, Brian Robinson, who's okay. I mean, there's not a lot of star power around Jaden Daniels. He's the star. And right now, everything is basically circling him. And if you watch the show, you know that this was our pick, plus 600. Hopefully you bet it with us, and you made some money on this for Rookie of the Year. As Matt was saying, he was third or fourth in some people's boards there in Vegas for this award, but it's his, and we know he's going to be the one to win it. Let's look back at the stats, though, why he finishes QB5. Now, as a rushing quarterback, to get over 3,500 yards is tough. To do it as a rookie is unheard of. You don't see 3,500 passing yards typically, along with almost 1,000 rushing yards. He had 891, 25 passing touchdowns, 6 rushing touchdowns, a total of 31 combined there. And he only threw 9 picks on the year, too. So as a rookie, you're always learning, you're always growing. And let's not also get lost in the shuffle that he had that ribcage injury about midway through the season that he played through, that probably he should not have, and that did affect some of his stats negatively, and it did affect them in the win column. They lost a couple games there. Once he got past that and that, got healthy again, Jaden Daniels has been unstoppable ever since. And what he did last night to go into that environment, which I think would have shaken most quarterbacks, let alone a rookie quarterback, the noise volume of that place, the levels were insane. When you think about the defense you're playing, the Detroit Lions, a team that won 15 games, a team that looks so good, right? That they were on the precipice of the Super Bowl last year. They looked unbeatable. They had a bye. They were rested. And I know they've had a lot of injuries. And I know they were missing some guys, but they got Dave Montgomery back last night too. What Jaden Daniels did last night was something so special that I don't think we recognize it yet. And people are going to look back on it and say, well, here it is. This is the beginning of the Jaden Daniels era of what we're going to see here for the next couple of years, because this guy is special. The ownership has changed. They have the right coach, and now they have the third most cap space of any team. You think Washington's going to be good next year? Because I do.
Yeah. All right. This next player was nowhere near the top. He was on the tip of no one's tongue, and he ends up being QB7. Who is it, and how did he do it?
Yeah, I mean, Jaden Daniels is QB5, but Bo Nix is QB7. Incredible here. And I will take the L on this one. I did not think Bo Nix was getting teams to the playoffs. I didn't think he was going to take a team for a winning record. And Sean Payton knew what he was getting here. Clearly, he liked the guy. Clearly, he fit what he was trying to do. 29 touchdowns, incredible number, 3,700 yards for him. Now, he threw 12 picks. We'd like to get that number down maybe to single digits. But regardless, especially when the season started out, you have to give Bo Nix and Sean Payton a lot of credit. That nobody cracked. Nobody got panicky. Things did not look good. In fact, it was kind of a joke in those first couple games. We were saying, oh, here we go, Bo Nix. And then the switch just got flipped, and Bo Nix got a simplified offense. He is operating it. He started to gain a lot of confidence. If you give him, I think, a stronger running game next year to really work with, and maybe a real 3-down all-purpose back who can also catch the ball in the backfield, I think you're in a really good spot there for Bo Nix going in the future. So, again, a terrific finish by him. Do I want to draft him as a top 10 quarterback next year? I don't, but it's going to be really hard to not evaluate him as close to that in 2025 when you're looking at the pre-draft ranks there, because Bo Nix, what he did last year, it might be the baseline. We'll see. Sophomore slumps happen. Look at CJ Stroud this year. Offensive line continuity, that was a big problem for Stroud. Although it is fascinating to think about that they outscored, or should I say outgained their opponents by 100 yards, and they still lost yesterday to the Chiefs. So CJ Stroud pulled it together in the playoffs despite a disappointing sophomore season. So he's going to be fine. But Bo Nix, we'll see if year 2 is as kind as year 1.
This next quarterback finished as QB16 through 20 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions. But I think the bar was set so high that it was almost impossible for this young man to achieve. Who is it, and what happened this season?
What happened is the Chicago Bears, which when you take the Chicago Bears and you have the head coaching there and the offensive coordinator there and the culture there that is poor, that has not developed young quarterbacks, let's see, ever. I mean, is that a hot take, folks?
No.
Is it? I mean, you want to go back to Jim McMahon? Like, when do you want to go back to the Bears developing a quarterback? Because I'm curious. Because it hasn't happened. They haven't had a prolific Bears quarterback. Those two words just have not really existed in space and time that you've developed in-house, okay? Right. Caleb Williams, if you look at his stats, and you compare him to Bo Nix, and I took the picture away, you would think, okay, that's probably Caleb Williams' year, right? 29 touchdowns, whatever it is. No, Caleb Williams just 20 touchdowns. It looks a lot more like what we expected out of Bo Nix on the high end. And instead, this is the very low end of Caleb Williams. So how do you fix this scale? Well, you fix it with the right head coach. A lot of ramblings and rumblings are going on about maybe Mike McCarthy being that guy. And he's a guy that has developed quarterbacks before. He worked with Favre. He worked with Rodgers. He's worked with Dak. People can make jokes about that. But you know what? The guy has a track record there, and he's a stable coach. And Caleb Williams sometimes is his own worst enemy. He takes far too many sacks, led the league in sacks taken too. So he's got to learn to get rid of the football. He holds the football too long. He tries too hard. And if you saw something last night too, in the Jaden Daniels performance, it's, I think, a maturity beyond his years where you would see it wasn't there. Jaden Daniels would roll out. Instead of taking a sack, he just throws the football away. I can't tell you how many balls I watched Peyton Manning and Tom Brady throw away in my life. That's the mark of a quarterback who gets it. I'm not taking sacks. Stroud took too many sacks last night. That hurt them. It kept pushing them out of field goal range, pushing them out of big spots. Sometimes you just have to live to fight another down, and that's something Caleb Williams better have to learn to do quickly. Otherwise, he is going to continue to struggle to become an elite level quarterback, which is what he was drafted to be.
Joe, you say that a team for success needs a coach and a quarterback. Well, the Patriots just got their coach. Talk to me about their quarterback.
Yeah, Drake May, I think a pretty good season considering he has no offensive line, no go-to weapons. He only played 13 games, but he did have 15 touchdowns. He had some rushing equity too. So you like what you saw out of Drake May. Now you got to give him help. Protect him, give him some weapons, and I think Drake May could have a statistical season much closer to a guy like Jaden Daniels next year. We'll be back for more FST.
This Sunday, the Rams carry the weight of their city when they face the Eagles. Then it's a clash of MVP caliber quarterbacks, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. SportsGrid has you covered all day, starting at 8 a.m. with FST for daily fantasy lineups. Lock in your picks with Pro Football Today and stay dialed in with real-time betting on in-game live game day, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun. I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. Monday, Ohio State looks to overcome the luck of the Irish as Notre Dame eyes the trophy.
I can't even contain myself.
SportsGrid has you covered for the national championship. Start with Coast to Coast at 3 p.m., followed by game time decisions for last-minute picks. And stick around for in-game live all night for real-time betting action. Stay tuned to SportsGrid, your home for championship coverage.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports Today at SportsGrid and at SportsGrid TV. Such a great response from the previous segments that we have been asked, and we shall comply, to give you the rest of the rookies that stood out. Joey P., you did a fantastic job. Where do you want to go now?
Well, let's go to Brock Bowers, because if there's one rookie that stood out, it was Brock Bowers. Now, I have to say, too, I was a huge fan going into the year, but I got a little antsy. Why? Because he has a foot injury right at the end of training camp. And you know me, when it comes to those feet injuries, that typically does not go well. But it ended up being not a big deal for Brock Bowers, and he ended up having an absolutely stunning rookie campaign. In fact, historical, one of the best ever we've seen at the tight end position. And that was with Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell playing quarterback. So wheels up in 2025 for Brock Bowers. He could be a first-round pick, maybe even a top 10 guy. Mm-hmm. This is your new Gronk. This is your new Kelsey, everybody who love to draft tight ends early in drafts, and he is an advantage. There's no doubt about that. The later you get him, the more of an advantage he's going to be. The good news is he still plays on a Raiders team that isn't very good right now, and also he plays in a scenario where people are skeptical about the quarterback play. That's a good thing. Let's keep that value nice and low and quiet. Do you agree? Come on, come with me. Let's not talk too much, but let's whisper campaign instead about Brock Bowers, because he was tight end 2 last year, 1,194 yards. He saw 153 targets, caught 112 of them. The volume was there. Now, here's the depressing part. He only had 5 touchdowns. He should have had 10 with how well he played. But unfortunately, not enough trips to the red zone, too many stopped drives by turnovers from bad quarterback play. So what we need to get is a quarterback who's going to turn the ball over less, who's going to continue to look for Brock Bowers, and a team that comes in here with coach and coordinator that knows how to get the best out of this incredible talent. You can line him up as a wide receiver. You can put him in the slot. You can put him at H-back. You can have him as tight end. He is a problem no matter where he lines up on the field, and Brock Bowers is going to be a problem for a long time. And another guy, too, that I don't think in rookie drafts last year got enough love and attention. Right. He sometimes went at the end of the first round. If people had to do that redraft over again, which might be a fun thing to do, the 2024 rookie class, the redraft for fantasy. I'm sure Dayton Daniels would be one, not Caleb Williams, right? Especially in those Superflex leagues. Marvin Harrison Jr. would not be 2. He would probably be much further down the trough. You'd see Malik Neighbors, BTJ, Brock Bowers, all those guys would probably be ahead of him. But it was not a great year for rookie tight ends except for Brock Bowers. He was the guy that just broke the mold, and should be no surprise because Nick Saban told us there were 2 players that gave him fits when he was still at Alabama. He said there was 2 guys that just he had no answer for. One was Malik Neighbors, and the other was Brock Bowers. So when a guy like Nick Saban tells you those things, everybody should listen.
All right, let's continue to listen to Joe EP. Joe, if I told you that a rookie running back rushed for over 1,000 yards and collected nearly 10 touchdowns, would you say that's a good year?
I would, especially if you told me I could get him off the waiver wire for free. And that's exactly what Bucky Irving was. Bucky Irving finishes RB14, despite the fact, really, the first few weeks of the season, he did not get a whole lot of love and attention. He ended up with 207 attempts, which I want to come back and circle that number because I think that's the magic number for Bucky Irving. He is an explosive back, but also a smaller one. So we don't want to go to that 230, 245 range. You might see Rachaad White still stick around, or a Tucker, or somebody else be a supplemental back here. Because I think Bucky Irving is the starter. He's your main target in fantasy. You see 1,122 yards, 8 touchdowns, a great finish for him. However, it's the 207 attempts I think we don't want to go too far over, because you don't want to overextend the smaller-bodied running back, because that's when you start to pick up more injury concerns.
Joe, you have mentioned often that both New York football teams are poised to be relevant just with a change under center. Tyrone Tracy was a wonderful, wonderful asset for the New York Giants.
Yeah, Tyrone Tracy was another one that I don't think a lot of people saw coming. You know, Devin Singletary was brought in, and Singletary's been, you know, your okay running back, right? Can he get the job done? Sure. Tyrone Tracy, RB26. Again, a bad offense most of the time, but some good performances for him. It took him a while to take over the starter's job. He finished with 6 touchdowns, almost 200 attempts, 192, 839 rushing yards. And I think going forward next year, Tyrone Tracy, to me, looks like a good solid RB2. What does he look like to you, Matt?
What does Tyrone Tracy look like to me? I'll tell you, Tyrone Tracy looks like the thing that is going to save this Giants team. We've already profiled Malik Neighbors. Now we're profiling Tyrone Tracy. You put a solid quarterback under center in New York, and I think the Giants are definitely the team. I think they have the assets, folks. When we come back, it's time to make money. It's time for fantasy over-unders, and I'll tell you something. The first one might shock you. Stick around.
This Sunday, the Rams carry the weight of their city when they face the Eagles. Then it's a clash of MVP caliber quarterbacks, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. SportsGrid has you covered all day, starting at 8 a.m. with FST for daily fantasy lineups. Lock in your picks with Pro Football Today and stay dialed in with real-time betting on in-game live game day, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. Monday, Ohio State looks to overcome the luck of the Irish as Notre Dame eyes the trophy.
I can't even contain myself.
SportsGrid has you covered for the national championship. Start with Coast to Coast at 3 p.m., followed by game time decisions for last-minute picks. And stick around for in-game live all night for real-time betting action. Stay tuned to SportsGrid, your home for championship coverage.
All right, more fantasy sports today with Matt Stryker and Joe Pisapia. It is now time for arguably our most popular segment, Over or Under. So let's start here with the Rams and the Eagles. We've been keeping an eye on weather, and that is a contributing factor for some of your decisions, Joe. So let's start with the first one.
Yeah, it is. And I'm not saying the Rams can't win this football game. They can. When you have an experienced quarterback, when you have Matthew Stafford, you have a chance. And Sean McVay is one of the best that there is. I think I want to say at this point, people were a little on the fence, like, okay, maybe it's time for Sean McVay to move to the booth or do something else. You know what he's done? He's taken the Rams 2 years in a row to the playoffs. And somehow that gets lost in the shuffle a little bit. And I don't think that's necessarily fair. And I think that it's time that everybody really give Sean McVay a lot of flowers. It's one thing to make it to the Super Bowl and win, and then all of a sudden you have all those cap issues. You lose Aaron Donald. They have rebuilt this team. The general manager's done a great job, too, of remaking this defense. They drafted Jared Verse. So they've done a terrific job. So shout out to the Rams. And then to have this team so focused to do what they did last week, which was to end up, playing in a neutral site situation and all the chaos of what that is. These athletes are always creatures of habit. So that's an incredible job by Sean McVay and the Rams there to get a W last week against a very good Vikings team. But looking ahead to this one, Puka Nacua has been that guy, right? He has been that dude that I think every time you see the high number, you want to just jump in and say, let's go with it. But I'm a little concerned about this one. I'm concerned because of the weather. I'm concerned because I think with Puka Nacua here, you might be looking at an under. Now, let's also take a look at how this number is moving, because you are seeing right now some of the weather starting to impact some of these numbers. You'll see this one, it started out as 89.5, but this morning it's gone to 86.5 in most markets. So you're starting to get pushed. So Vegas is telling you their expectations are being lowered, and maybe you should start lowering yours too. So it's very tempting. It's been a lot of Puka Nacua. He's been great, but so is that Eagles secondary. Cooper DeJean, Quinion Mitchell have been fantastic, right? If there's a team that is built to shut them down, and I get it, last time we saw this matchup when it was in LA, it was Saquon Barkley running amok and embarrassing this defense. I get all that, but that's in the past. If you're telling me Sean McVay isn't ready for this, you're wrong. He's a great football coach. He's going to have a better game plan. Can they stop Saquon Barkley altogether? Probably not. but can they slow him down and at least keep this game close? Maybe, especially now that the elements are part of it. But because the elements are part of it and Vegas has already started to push that number, I was under the 89.5 at 86.5. I still think it's an under here for Puka Nacua. It could be tricky today with the elements. So give me the under on a big Puka Nacua number.
All right, so you're on the under for Nacua. You're concerned about the weather, and you're also concerned about Philadelphia's pass coverage. What does that mean for Matthew Stafford?
For Matthew Stafford, it's the same thing. This number started out on Friday at 214.5, and now it's 213.5 in most markets. So it's just 1 yard difference, but it's movement. And it's moving towards the under. So the sharp people are betting the under at 214, so Vegas wants to keep pushing it, right? The weather continues to be an issue here. So if Puka Nacua doesn't have an elite level day, I don't think we can really look for Cooper Kupp to be that guy. The trend lines have not been good for Cooper Kupp. So give me the under here of Matthew Stafford. It's a low number. I get it. But we did this a few weeks ago. I'm trying to remember who it was, but we said, this is a number. It's so low on a really good quarterback. People would be jumping for the over, but Vegas is telling you something here. And when they tell you, you should listen because that's why they build hotels. Okay. Right. 214.5. I know it's a small number for Matthew Stafford, an offense that likes to throw the football, but now that it's moving more towards the under, I think you want to keep going in that direction. I don't think it's gone so low that you can't bet it anymore and you want to go over it. It's not like it's at 199 or something like that, but it is suggesting it's going to be a tougher slog out there, especially against this really solid Eagles defense.
All right, Joe, give me your expert analysis on what Saquon Barkley does today.
This is tricky because one big run from Saquon can really give you this over, but it is a big number too, 112.5. This game might end up being a slog, right? When you think about last night, 40 points scored just in the second quarter alone, a record in an NFL playoff game. Last night's game basically hit the over at halftime, and the over was 55.5. I think there were 52 points at halftime. It was absurd, right? This one might be a little less this afternoon, less than thrilling. It might be raining here with some snow. It's going to be kind of a messy one here. Now, Saquon, if he does break loose, and he can do that, we've seen that before, that's when the 50, 60-yard run starts to put you over this big number. But still, 112.5, I think process-wise, especially how embarrassed they were last time, Saquon Barkley ran amok all over them, and I believe this defense realized that. I don't think they're going to let that happen twice. They're going to have a better plan to figure it out, and I don't think Nick Sirianni is going to change. At this juncture in the season, this is who the Eagles are. They're going to run it down your throat, and they're going to continue to do that, and I don't think it's now we've got to readjust on this. No. Nick Sirianni ain't doing that. Sean McVay is going to adjust too. The question is, can he make enough adjustments to keep him under this number? And I think it's going to be close, so I'm going to go with the under 2 on the minus side as well. 112.5. Again, it's a pretty good size number here.
If Barkley is an under, what does that mean for Jalen Hurts' rushing prop of 37.5?
Hurts, I like the over. And here's why. Hurts is the guy that's starting with the football in his hands. And when you have the quarterback who's mobile in bad weather and you're starting with the ball in your hands, I think it bodes much better. Now, this is a number that's gone up since Friday. On Friday, it was 37.5. It's moved up to 39.5. So I liked it on Friday on my shows, and this is why I still like it now, because you see Vegas is thinking the same thing I am, which is when you start with the ball in your hands, there's a much better chance when a play breaks down, a lineman that's chasing you gets past you there, and then you have free reign to run. Jalen Hurts, I think, will be out and about in this game quite a bit. So I imagine there's going to be some plays breaking down in the weather. Imagine with a mobile quarterback, you're going to see this hit. And if you look historically too, week 14, week 15, week 16, he went over all of that. He came close to that number too against Green Bay last week. He had actually 36. So 39.5, which is where that number is now, still very achievable. So I'm going to take the over here again with a 37.5, despite the fact that it has moved up to 39. I still want the over there as well.
All right, continuing the conversation about the Eagles' weaponry, let's go to a wide receiver. It's A.J. Brown, 69.5 receiving yards. Remember, Joe has mentioned the weather as well as some other things. How do we see A.J. Brown's day?
I know this is going to depress everybody because overs are sexy, but I think it's another under. A.J. Brown, this number, just continuing that trend line here with this game, the number was 69.5 on Friday. Now it's 68.5. So it's a yard. What's the big deal? It's a trend. It's a trend of smart people betting the unders here. And that's something in the early betting you have to understand. That's when a lot of the sharps are. They're out there, they're betting those unders when they see the opportunity. And then when Vegas starts to adjust to them, sometimes they're betting them to get it to a low enough number, but it's not going to bottom out. It's not going to get to 50. It's not going to happen. But A.J. Brown, so far, if you look at this trend line too, week 17 did not hit this. I know different quarterback play. Last week, he only had 10 yards. Do I think it's better than that? Yes. But at the same time, I think we're fooling ourselves. And we think that necessarily A.J. Brown is lined up for an all-world, day where he's going to have 100 yards receiving today. Now, the number is kind of in that in-between. If you look at the trend lines, it's been very up and down. If I'm going to invest in it, I'm going to lean towards the under today. I think it's going to be tricky to throw the football.
So if you're looking at the under, you're concerned about weather and pass defense, let's look at Cooper Kupp, but let's not look at targets. Let's not look at yards. Let's just look at receptions. 4.5 is the number, under or over?
Once again, Matt, this number has moved since Friday. It was at 4.5. Now Vegas has it 3.5. And guess what? Going back to week 15, right? No receptions. Week 16, 3 receptions. Week 17, 1 reception. Minnesota game last week, 1 reception. Something's wrong with Cooper Kupp. Something's rotten in the state of Denmark here. I don't know what's going on here with Cooper Kupp. And maybe it is a health issue, or maybe it's just the offense isn't running through him anymore. Maybe Cooper Kupp is just done. But I don't know if this is the environment where Cooper Kupp has his rebirth against the Philadelphia secondary that's one of the best in the league in a tough weather environment on the road. No, thank you. So if you can get it at 4.5 still, jump on it. 3.5, I'm still listening. More props when we return.
This Sunday, the Rams carry the weight of their city when they face the Eagles. Then it's a clash of MVP caliber quarterbacks, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. SportsGrid has you covered all day, starting at 8 a.m. with FST for daily fantasy lineups. Lock in your picks with Pro Football Today and stay dialed in with real-time betting on in-game live game day, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. Monday, Ohio State looks to overcome the luck of the Irish as Notre Dame eyes the trophy.
I can't even contain myself.
SportsGrid has you covered for the national championship. Start with Coast to Coast at 3 p.m., followed by game time decisions for last-minute picks. And stick around for in-game live all night for real-time betting action. Stay tuned to SportsGrid, your home for championship coverage.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports Today. 2 big games on tap, and we are here to help you dissect every which way but loose in order to make a profit. So we had a bunch of unders in the previous segment. I'm hopeful we'll find some overs here. Let's go to this Buffalo game. Let's start with Josh Allen. His number is 235.5 passing yards through the air. Joe, over under, what says you?
Well, this number again has moved. Stop me if you heard that before. It's moved by a chunk. So I was already over this at 235.5. And now that number has jumped all the way to 245.5, and I'm in. I'm still in on the over. Why? Because I like Baltimore in this game. I think they're going to put Josh Allen in situations where he's going to have to throw a lot and maybe play some catch up in this game too. And that defense against the run has been really good all year for the Baltimore Ravens. And I think that's going to be a tough day at the office for James Cook. We'll get to his prop in just a second here, but it feels like Josh Allen at this stage too is going to be putting the weight of this team on his shoulders. That's what he's done all season. Does he have the playmakers to come from behind? Does he have the playmakers to match Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry play for big play? I don't know. To be honest with you, this is different. This is not the regular season here, and whatever happened between these two teams in the regular season, I really don't care about. The Ravens right now are playing out of their mind. They look incredibly confident. We'll see if the Buffalo Bills do with that, a little bit of time here to, regain. And they came out flat against the Broncos last week. Didn't love that. They opened things up in the second half. That's great. They made adjustments. They'll have to do that again today. But Josh Allen, 235.5, 245.5. I don't care. I still want the over. I think he goes over this today. I think it's going to be a lot of him. And hopefully he doesn't make a lot of mistakes, because that's what gets Josh Allen in trouble sometimes, where he tries to do too much and tries to, as he's getting sacked, toss a ball to somebody else, creates a turnover. Historically, we've seen a lot of that Josh Allen in high-pressure situations. We've seen less of it this year, but this is the most pressurized situation he's been in. So let's see how he handles it here against the Ravens. And there's a lot of pressure at home, too, in front of this home crowd. We'll see how that bodes for him, but I'm going over.
So you mentioned that you feel that the game script will imply that Allen's going to have to throw the ball. You mentioned playmakers. Who's catching the ball? Who's the playmaker for Buffalo today?
Well, I think the go-to guy is Khalil Shakir, who's been that guy all year for the Buffalo Bills. 44.5 is the number for him, and I believe we're looking at the over for him. I think he is the go-to guy that I feel the most comfortable with. Shakir, still not a household name, I think, in most circles. A quiet end to the season in that game with Detroit. He was under this number against New England. Obviously, with the Jets game, too, under this number. Then nobody played in Week 18. He did go over against Denver. I think we're going to see a little bit more of that version, too. He's at 61. Now, this number was 41.5 when the week started. Right now, that number has also jumped considerably from 44.5 now to 51.5. I'm still over. I still think we're going to get into that spot. But what you can see is these game script that I was basically planning all weekend here is like, okay, this is what I think we're going to be going. We lock in some of these graphics and these numbers on Friday of what this is going to look like. And then you see things start to change. And when you're seeing them change, in the direction that you are thinking they are going to go in, that means your process is good, because that means Vegas is thinking the same thing you are, and Vegas is right far more often than they are wrong. So give me the over on Khalil Shakir. If it gets to 58, 59, we can start to have that conversation. But right now, where it's lying in most markets at 51.5, still very, very viable.
All right, Joe, we've talked about how the Ravens' run defense has been especially stingy as of late. How does that bode for James Cook's 53.5 rushing yards prop?
We made a lot of money betting James Cook overs here in the last part of the season, right? They wanted to run the football more. They were able to run the football effectively. But now we're against the Baltimore Ravens, and James Cook has been up and down in that department. So how up and down? Week 9, under this mark. Week 10, over. Week 11, under against Kansas City, another tough team against the run. San Fran, well over. Rams, under. Then Detroit, New England, over. Under for the Jets, under against New England. In the wild card, way over against Denver, and that made sense. However, now we're looking at a spot where I don't feel comfortable with this number. It has actually gone up from 53.5 to 55.5, which makes me like the under even more. I feel really good about this one. Now, could James Cook have a big explosive play? Of course he could. However, I do think the way this game is going to go, I think a lot of time of possession by the Baltimore Ravens, they're going to run with Lamar. They're going to run with Derrick Henry. And Josh Allen's going to be forced in some spots where he's got to be a little bit more aggressive. And when you have to be more aggressive and that run defense is really good, it's a bad combination. So I would be looking for the under and maybe a disappointing day for James Cook.
All right, folks, now let's go stargazing. Let's talk about Lamar Jackson. 49.5 rushing yards is the number. We're going to go over or under. We saw a great stat that said Lamar Jackson has only 7 yards less rushing in all playoff games behind Josh Allen, 602 to 609 respectively. Expect more of the same here today at 49.5, Joe?
I do. The 49.5 has grown over the weekend to 54.5. So we were in the over at 49.5. Still over it here. He's gone over this number 3 weeks in a row. 87 yards against the Houston Texans, 63 against the Cleveland Browns, and last week in the wild card game, 81. Now, I don't know if we're going to get to 81 again, but I expect him to be in that 60 range. I think this is going to be a lot of Lamar Jackson. You're going to see a lot of that RPO, a lot of that, Lamar Jackson design run stuff going on there because it's been effective. And it's really tough. And we talked about this in the beginning of the year, too. How do you stop this, right? You've got Derrick Henry, you got Lamar Jackson. You could probably try to stop one of them. Stopping both is really difficult. And I think the Ravens have found that sweet spot and that balance between throwing the football and running the football here where they want to just now jam this football down your throat. It's January in Buffalo. The team that runs the football better is probably going to win. And I don't see how that team is not the Baltimore Ravens. I just don't see it.
Even if you spy on Jackson, you're dedicating personnel to that and you're leaving an opening. Derrick Henry, 95.5 rushing yards. Seems like a smash to me, but let's hear from you.
Yep, 95 has become 96.5. 1 yard difference does not matter. Here's the last couple weeks for Derrick Henry starting in week 16. 162, 147, 138, 186. What do those numbers have in common? They all have a 1 in front of them. So let's go over. Let's put that touchdown with Derrick Henry as well anytime. Let's get it into the plus money. That's a good day at the office for this game. So Derrick Henry has been that guy, and it's January in Buffalo, folks. You go, you run the football, you dominate time of possession, and if you do that, the Ravens are moving on. We'll come back, close things out with 3 and Out on FST.
This Sunday, the Rams carry the weight of their city when they face the Eagles. Then it's a clash of MVP caliber quarterbacks, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. SportsGrid has you covered all day, starting at 8 a.m. with FST for daily fantasy lineups. Lock in your picks with Pro Football Today and stay dialed in with real-time betting on in-game live game day, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. Monday, Ohio State looks to overcome the luck of the Irish as Notre Dame eyes the trophy.
I can't even contain myself.
SportsGrid has you covered for the national championship. Start with Coast to Coast at 3 p.m., followed by game time decisions for last-minute picks. And stick around for in-game live all night for real-time betting action. Stay tuned to SportsGrid, your home for championship coverage.
All right, welcome back, everybody, as we close things out here on FST. Make sure you stay with us for Pro Football Today. The next 3 hours taking you through these two huge games. One more team is going to advance from each conference into next week's Championship Sunday, and it should be a pretty good time. Hopefully last night has set us off, man. We had, again, a game go sideways, which Happens every single year. I don't think a lot of us thought it was going to be the Commanders, but you know what? It was, and it was glorious, except if you're Dan Campbell and the Lions and everyone who lives in Detroit and loves the Lions. So check on your Lions fan friends, everybody. That's what you got to do. And I think it's just a matter of overconfidence. When you look back, you watch Dan Campbell and this team, the swagger they had. It's a lot of swagger for a team that has won nothing and gotten to 0 Super Bowls yet. Now, granted, they had a great season. They were dominant. They were listening and reading all the press clippings and all the noise about we're the best team in the league, not the Chiefs. We're the best team in the NFC. We're the number one. Everything goes through us. To lose a home playoff game in that environment to a rookie quarterback is stunning. It really is. It should not happen. So what happened there? Sure, there was injuries. Yes, they were missing players. Yes, they lost players. But let's not forget, it's not like they didn't lose offensive linemen in that game. Cosme came out of that game hurt. It was a huge loss for that Commanders offensive line. They plugged the hole and they kept going. You should not lose at home to a rookie quarterback after a bye week. You should be more prepared. And it feels like they got caught looking ahead. And it's another tough lesson to learn here for Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions. I wish they didn't have to learn things the hard way. Also, tough this week, too. I just wanted to give a shout out here. Bob Uecker passed away at the age of 90. We didn't talk about it today on the show, but I just wanted to say, any of us who do anything entertaining in sports, we all have a debt to pay to Bob Uecker. Mr. Baseball, one of the most entertaining human beings on the planet, let alone in the world of baseball and sports. If you can smile and joke and have sports talk that's entertaining of any kind, I feel like Bob Uecker is kind of the father of a lot of that, where it was okay to be entertaining and be a personality in the game on that kind of level. So whether it be calling the Brewers games, whether it be giving you amazing Hall of Fame speeches or being Harry Doyle in Major League, Bob Uecker, part of the American sports lexicon. And I think one of the most important figures we'll ever see. More John Maddens, more Bob Ueckers, please, sports. Stop giving us the same guy or same gal a million different times. Let's have some diversity and some personality going out there. Please, it's good for sports because we love people who are authentic, and nobody's more authentic than Bob Uecker. So an incredible life lived. So let's look ahead to today's games too. Philly and the Rams. All right, this is where we're at right now. And when you're looking ahead to this game, Philly is 6.5-point favorite still. The Rams on the money line plus 250 is a great value no matter how you slice it. Could this game be close? Could the Rams pull a rabbit out of their hat? Yeah, they absolutely could. The question is, number one, is Philly too dysfunctional? And dysfunctional Philadelphia has been the go-to for them. The total for this game is 42.5. It feels like it might play to the under, considering some of the weather situations in this game. Matthew Stafford on the road in the elements might be a little trickier. It's not like he's playing in Phoenix this week, slinging the football around, all right? Or in that beautiful LA controlled weather environment. This is outside. It's cold. It's rainy. It's snowy. It's Philadelphia. It's angry. It's all the things that Philadelphia has always been. So we'll see if the Rams are up for it. But an upset is not out of the question. I'd be looking for the under in this game. I'd also be looking for the Rams to keep it closer. I don't think this is going to be another Saquon Barkley embarrassment of a performance by the Rams defense. I think they have grown a lot, and you might be able to circle that game on the schedule of when the Rams defense started to grow into a different version of itself. They got flat out embarrassed at home. Sirianni's not going to change. Can Sean McVay make the adjustments? That's the question. And then we have the Ravens, and I think the Ravens are going to roll. Why? Because Buffalo in January is about running the football. Why did the Buffalo Bills get to 4 Super Bowls in a row? Jim Kelly was great. I got 2 words for you. Thurman Thomas. Thurman Thomas, folks. One of the best running backs that does not get enough publicity. One of the great all-purpose running backs, the precursor for the Marshall Falks of the world and the Alvin Kamaras of the world. And these guys who catch the football and do amazing things, right? Not just running the football, but also receiving. Thurman Thomas was that guy. And Thurman Thomas in January was always that dude. Now, James Cook is a good running back, but I don't know if James Cook is ready for that and ready for the Baltimore Ravens defense. That has been one of the best all year against the run. If you take away James Cook, you're going to be putting the ball in the hand of Josh Allen, who is absolutely worthy and up to the task. We've seen Josh Allen make a lot of mistakes, trying to do too much. Will he do too much tonight, especially if they fall behind? We'll see. I expect Baltimore to control the clock, control the football, control time of possession. If they do that, I think they're moving on to Kansas City next week. We shall see what happens there. Shout out to Matt Stryker, all of our incredible production team. As always, that'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. For Matt, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids. Enjoy your football.